Han was already several steps inside, studying the room. Seeing that Chewbacca had already unslung his bowcaster and was quietly covering Tamora, Leia motioned Han to follow and went over to the service desk. The door to the rear office was closed. Leia started to go around the counter, but Han, ever the gallant, at least when it came to her, slid over the top and beat her to the office door. He hit the open key on the control pad, and nothing happened. Locked. Han stepped back and pointed his blaster at the control pad. Watch out! The door opened a crack, and the muzzle of a blaster rifle appeared in front of Han's hood. Leia started to step behind the counter to position herself next to the door, but a droning Rodian voice brought her to a halt.
Stay put, or his head is smoke.
The Rodian shoved the blaster into Han's hood, forcing him back, but remained out of Leia's line of fire. Look, fella, we're just trying to find a friend.
You thought your friend might be hiding in my office?
Chewbacca arrived at the opposite end of the counter and pointed his bowcaster through the door. Apparently, he could see the Rodian. Wald! Tamora appeared from behind Chewbacca. Put that thing down and let me see Kitster. Wald did not lower the weapon.
What makes you think Kit is here?
Because he told me to meet him here. Tamora's concern sounded genuine and substantial. He has business with these people.
In my parts yard? What kind of business?
She can't tell you that, Han said.
Then I guess I can't keep my finger off this trigger.
Han's knuckles were turning white, and Leia knew what that meant. Look, why don't we all put the blasters away? She holstered her own weapon. If we were really going to shoot each other, we'd have done it by now. I wouldn't be so sure. Han seemed to be glaring into the office. I can be patient. Leia stepped over, took the blaster from Han's hand, and laid it on the counter, then nodded at Chewbacca. You too. I think Wald here just needs Tamora to convince him that she's here voluntarily. Chewbacca stared through the door for a moment, then growled ominously and set his bowcaster on the counter. Wald kept his blaster pressed to Han's face.
Tamora, why don't you and the kids come into my office?
Tamora rolled her eyes, then snatched the bowcaster off the counter and pointed it at Chewbacca. Okay, Wald, we have the drop on them. She almost certainly lacked the strength to pull the bowcaster's trigger, but Leia was not going to tell her that. Now will you believe me? Wald let out a sound that resembled a chemical-cutting torch running out of fuel. Then the blaster rifle disappeared into the office, and a stocky little Rodian waddled into view.
Sorry about the blaster.
He held a green hand out to Han.
No hard feelings, huh?
No. Han took the hand, teeth grinding so hard Leia could hear them. Not many. Kit! Tamora shoved the bowcaster into Chewbacca's arms, then grabbed her children again and led them behind the counter toward Wald's office. Where are you?
He's not back there.
Seeming to realize that a distraught wife would have to see for herself, Wald addressed himself to Han and Leia and allowed Tamora to look anyway.
He was here, though, with that moss painting everyone's after.
Leia tried not to show her alarm at the word everyone. And
Jurgo, a Kobah's cell secret, came in behind him and pulled a blaster. Jurgo wanted the moss painting. I had to lay out Jurgo with a hydrospanner.
So where's the painting now? Leia asked. Wald made a point of turning toward the door of his office.
Let's wait for Tamora.
A moment later, Tamora emerged alone, her eyes red from crying. Leaving her children in the office, she closed the door and went to Wald's side. Okay, Wald. What happened to Kit? Wald reluctantly looked away from Han and Leia, then said,
He took my old swoop out into the desert.
Tamora's face fell. The old swoop? Wald nodded.
It gets worse. He was going out through Arch Canyon.
Arch Canyon? Tamora gasped. The one in the old pod racing course? That Arch Canyon? Again, Wald nodded.
He said it's his only hope of keeping the Imperials off his tail.
Wald cast a disparaging look at Han and Leia, then added,
I told him he should just sell the painting to them and be done with it, but he wouldn't hear of it. He said Killik Twilight doesn't belong in Imperial hands.
Leia exhaled in silent relief. At least Tamora was right about that much. So who does Kitster plan to sell it to?
That's the thing. I don't think he means to sell it to anyone.
What? This from Leia, Han, and Tamora. Wald looked at Tamora.
He wasn't thinking right. He just kept talking about some Devaronian and Twi'lek who tried to blow it up, saying he was going to take it someplace safe.
Someplace safe? Leia could not believe what she was hearing. On Tatooine. Then what?
Well, I think he was hoping for a reward. He was going to send a message to Princess Leia.
Wald waddled closer and squinted up beneath Leia's hood, obviously trying to make out her features.
Except, I'm pretty sure he thought you were still on Coruscant.
Leia sighed. Is there anyone in Mos Espa who doesn't know who we are? Wald twisted his sensory horns back and forth and jerked a thumb toward Chewbacca and C-3PO.
A droid? A Wookiee? The painting? I'd have to be a lot blinder than I am not to figure that.
Thank you for pointing that out. Leia and the others had realized all along that staying together would make them easier to identify, but things were happening so fast they didn't dare separate. She turned to Han. At least we still have something going for us.
For a little while.
Wald pointed toward his security system, a small vidcam hidden in the ceiling corner.
I overheard the stormtroopers talking about their new admiral.
Pelion? Han asked.
All I know is he awes them,
Wald said.
But you should know he thinks there's something in Killik Twilight the New Republic doesn't want the Empire to have. It's the only reason he can see for the Devaronian throwing a detonator at it.
Leia and Han exchanged looks of exasperation. Thanks for telling us, Wald. Leia took a calming breath, then turned to Tamora. Perhaps you'd care to calm Kitster? We can arrange a rendezvous. Tamora nodded and activated her comlink. Kit? A tiny echo of her voice sounded from the back of the room, beneath the toppled vaporator. Are you there? Again, the echo sounded from beneath the toppled vaporator. Chewbacca went to the back of the room and picked up a comlink identical to Tamora's.
Jabba!
Wald cursed.
That's where Jergo grabbed him.
Leia sighed. Would it be too much to hope that he told you where he was going? Wald spread his hands.
Someplace safe. That's all he said.
Leia turned to Tamora next, but didn't even bother asking when she saw the look of despair on the woman's face. We'll never catch him in a land speeder, Han said, especially not with a bunch of ties after him. He turned to Wald. Do you have another swoop? Wald and Tamora exchanged looks. Then Wald said,
I don't. Not one that can catch Kitster.
It's the one Wald used to win his freedom, Tamora explained.
Kitster and I built it from a design a friend's mother found in his room.
There was more than a touch of pride in Wald's voice.
It was nearly as fast as a pod racer.
A strange feeling of déjà vu came over Leia, and she asked, Who was this friend?
Anakin Skywalker,
Wald said. You knew Anakin?
Of course I knew him.
Wald sounded insulted.
He was my pal. We were slaves together.
Leia's jaw dropped. My father was a slave?
Don't make it sound like something dirty,
Wald said, growing defensive.
We were kids. It wasn't like we gambled our way into it.
That's not what she meant. Han took Leia's hand and gave it a little squeeze to break her out of her shock. It's just hard to believe that a slave grew up to be Darth Vader.
Darth Vader?
Wald waved his palms dismissively.
That's a lie. Anakin Skywalker never became Darth Vader.
Really? Leia heard the ice in her tone, but but found herself losing the battle to keep her temper under control. "And you know this how?"
Because I knew him,
Wald retorted.
You don't understand what it takes, what it took back then for a slave to win his freedom.
"So he got lucky and won a pod race," Leia said. "That hardly makes him a hero." "It does on Tatooine, dear." Han took Leia by the arm, then pulled her closer and said more gently, "Damp down your power core. We need this guy's help."